Hello and welcome. And you are here for one reason. It's a reason that every author has been chasing from the beginning of time, ever since books were published. It's a reason that every speaker wants more of and just can't get it because they don't know how. It's a reason that every trainer who does live trainings has an inkling on how to do it but really doesn't know how to do it. It's a problem that everyone faces because you can't become a social influencer without this. In fact, without this, you can't create a legacy, you can't make money to live into the dreams and lifestyle that you wish, and you won't be able to influence others to promote you. What is this thing? It's one word, and I believe it's the thing that everyone chases and fails to do on a daily basis. No more teasing. It's called exposure. Getting exposure is necessary before getting a click. Getting exposure is necessary before a retweet, before a comment, before sharing, before getting on a hangout, before getting on video or audio, or even transcribing. You need exposure first. Before you build your list, you need exposure. Before you get a sale, you need exposure. And with more exposure and massive exposure, you have social influence. Oprah Winfrey, massive exposure, massive social influence. His Holiness the Dalai Lama, massive exposure, massive social influence. You don't even need to be rich to have exposure. The Dalai Lama is not physically rich. He pays himself $10 a day, but he's wealthy. Wealth is what happens when all the money is not there, but you still have it. Mahatma Gandhi was wealthy. Dr. Martin Luther King was wealthy. You just go into history. So whether it's wealth in the form of money or wealth in the form of mental, spiritual, emotional wealth, bottom line is if you have more of this, more exposure will get you more of what you want, including social influence. So what we are focused on today is getting exposure on what we believe and what this platform believes to be the most powerful publishing platform on earth, and that is LinkedIn. And we are going to talk about the principles of getting massive exposure on LinkedIn. There's a banner you are looking at right now, which is on a Google Plus page. So there's co-opetition you're looking at right now. Two new media platforms. That's Google Plus, and we're talking about LinkedIn. Principles of getting massive exposure on LinkedIn. You will learn how to discover 4 tips to supercharging your LinkedIn business profile. Why business profile? Super important because it defines who you are. Number 2, avoid 5 social networking hazards when getting found on LinkedIn. And next, learn 3 tested tactics to get more pre-qualified leads on LinkedIn. So whether you're a serial entrepreneur, service professional, no matter what business you're in, business to business, business to consumer, even business to government, LinkedIn is the most precise platform, yet they don't have the engagement they deserve, like Facebook, and we're going to focus on why. Before I invite my guest, who I'm grilling, my name is Alex Mondosian, and why I've earned the right to bring this content to you is I have over 22,000 hours of training time, which makes me a master virtual presenter. And what makes me a master is being a disaster along the way, because mistakes are great. The more I make, the smarter I get. So all my mistakes and all the money I've lost along the way, I've learned what not to do, and that's what has earned me the right to bring this guest to you and why I'm known for marketingonline.com. Now, principles versus tactics. As a marketer online, I like to focus on principles because they are immutable. They don't get old. That's why the title is Principles, right? Tactics are great, but they can get old. You know, spamming was a tactic around 1995, and it worked really, really well, and then it got old. So a principle is utilizing video as a root content and repurposing it into audio and then into the written world, which I don't know how you're consuming this right now, but you may be consuming it reading, listening, or viewing. But that's a principle, is the 3 forms of repurposing. And then finally, new media versus traditional media. Traditional media is television and radio and newspapers. And the thing about traditional media is it's very expensive. You're on and off, so you're on Good Morning America. You're on for 4 minutes and you're gone, right? Very difficult to get on. The speed, the cost is very high. The speed to get on is very, very slow. You got to work hard. With new media, which we're on right now, it's faster. It's more trackable. You're on for 40 minutes instead of 4 minutes, and it's very, very exciting when you have your message and new media matched, and that's what we're here to talk about. So we're going to teach you how to get massive exposure. Here's the key word, massive exposure, and my guest is Ted Prodromo, and he is hanging out from Marin County, California, where I am right now as well. And I want to ask him, Ted, welcome. What gives you the right to talk about this content?
Well, I've been living on LinkedIn for the last 4 years. I like to dig into stuff. I've been doing this online marketing stuff forever, search engine optimization, so I like to figure stuff out. So I'm just figuring out how LinkedIn works, what changes I can use to get more clients, and only spend 15 or 20 minutes a day is the best part.
Okay, so you do a lot of business on LinkedIn. It's your preferred platform of choice, and there's nothing against Facebook or Twitter. You even wrote a book about Twitter or Google Plus or any other platform, but LinkedIn is your preferred platform. So you got to prioritize your social media platform. That's really tip number one. If you don't have priorities, actually, if you have more than 3 priorities, then you don't have any priorities, says Jim Collins, well-known author. So think about that one. Do you have a prioritized social media platform? Well, let's start with LinkedIn and why LinkedIn profiles are so important. What makes the profile ultra important for LinkedIn? And most people's profiles just are not good at all.
Well, if you have a LinkedIn account, people are looking at your profile, whether you know it or not. You can even see people who viewed your profile. So if you don't have a good picture and you don't have it complete, you're making a terrible first impression on people, and they'll probably click away and never come back to your profile.
Okay, so people are looking at your profile on LinkedIn even if you don't utilize it, if you just kind of started it. So if you haven't completed it, that's bad, not only for you but for Google, because Google's not going to give you the ranking that you deserve if you haven't completed your LinkedIn profile. That's a fact. But secondly, people are looking at a half-baked profile, and if they're going to see you physically or they're going to reach out to you, there's more information on LinkedIn about you than you would find on Facebook or Google Plus or any other platform. Would you agree?
Correct, yeah. It's like if you had a half-finished website for your business. It doesn't leave a good impression.
Okay, so let's talk about 4 tips to supercharge LinkedIn profile. So you have a profile. Let's focus on 4 ways to supercharge them. So Ted, give them to me.
Okay, the first thing people see is your profile picture. So you need to have a professional headshot. Don't take a cropped picture from where you're standing at a wedding or something, or you can tell people are cut out of them. Or don't do selfies with really bad lighting. Just spend the money, get a professional headshot done.
Okay, and a professional headshot is that, I'm going to take a screenshot of what I'm seeing on your LinkedIn. Is a professional headshot like the one we're seeing right here? Where
exactly.
This is your picture and this is you, correct?
Correct.
Okay, great. Okay, I'm going to go to me now, and then you don't have to be gentle. Is this a professional headshot, or is that too close up? What do you think?
See, it looks like it's the wrong size, so you're kind of distorted.
So is there a size that's ideal?
They keep changing. You get to test it with different browsers, but they fit it in pretty well. A square photo, a 250 by 250 works fine.
Okay, excellent. So what's tip number 2 to supercharge your profile?
Right below your name and your profile, LinkedIn will stuff in your job title and where you work by default. And that's where it's like you can put your little tagline out there in front of millions of people. So I use like your USP, your unique selling proposition, or your tagline. It just grabs people's attention.
All right, so I'm going to change my profile. I already know I'm going to change my picture, but Ted Prodromo, America's leading LinkedIn coach. Alex Mondosian, America's master virtual presenter. All right, it could be something like that. And then here you have accelerated sales using LinkedIn and social selling. Best-selling author, Ultimate Guide to LinkedIn for Business, and then Search Marketing Simplified, Soft Tech, Sitecore, NetBiz Expert. You have all of these things up front. This is your landing page, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
It's kind of like a Google ad. It shows up all over LinkedIn, that section, and the sidebar.
Okay, awesome. And then you have a post here. It says live LinkedIn Hangout with Alex. That's what we're doing right now. So you can even broadcast on LinkedIn through a Google Hangout using 2 media sources, correct?
Correct.
Okay, awesome. What is tip number 3?
Tip number 3, in your summary, which is part of your profile. Some people don't even put your summary, but a lot of people will just repeat their job experience there. And people are going to scan through your profile. People don't read in great detail yet unless it grabs their attention. So I'd like to grab their attention and tell a story. Tell the story of how you got to where you are in your career. Why are you passionate about what you do, or why you became an author or a speaker or a coach or whatever your profession is. But don't just repeat your job history there. It's your chance to really grab their attention.
Okay, so I'm going to your page again. Where do I find the summary?
So scroll down.
Yeah.
There's summary right there.
Okay, so if you're not getting the results you want from LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and Google, let me help. Okay, so that starts with a problem solution. Hey, there's my friend Jay Abraham. Look at that. And Vivica and Ryan Dice. Wow, they're all here.
See, that's why your professional headline is so important. See where it shows up on the sidebar?
Yes, yes, absolutely. Wow, Ira Rosen. I know all these folks. That's awesome. Perry Marshall, there he is. So then you put schedule a time with me at Ted Prodromo with your number, your URL, and then there's a phone number here, and that looks like a interactive text response number. Is that going to a text, or is that your personal number?
No, that's just it. Well, there's no interaction except the links to schedule an appointment on mobile devices. You can click them now, but not on desktop yet.
Awesome. So do people actually look you up from the summary?
Oh yeah. I get phone calls from people who say, hey, I found your phone number in your summary. I just wanted to find out what you do.
Okay, and then you're telling me that people just kind of peruse through this summary, so this is your third tip. What else do they do, and what's the fourth tip?
The fourth tip is use keywords in there. So it's just like a website. LinkedIn is just a search engine. So you want to use keywords that you'd be found under Google in LinkedIn too.
Okay, so give me examples of keywords that are very relevant for you, because people kind of get foggy with keywords. I don't know my keywords, and I don't know what they should be. So what are some of yours that are notable?
LinkedIn coach is one that I go for.
Okay, so LinkedIn coach, there it is right there. Okay, what else?
And social media strategy and online lead generation.
Oh, so there are 3 keywords right here, right?
Yep.
Okay. So that's awesome. So let's start with 3. LinkedIn coach. Okay. I would be virtual presenter coach, a social media strategist. I could be that too. Online lead generation expert. Okay. So these are keywords, and then they're looking you up. How do these people find you? Is it through the search in LinkedIn here, through the search engine?
Exactly. You search for LinkedIn coach.
Okay, and then don't go too deep, because people will be wondering how to do it specifically, and we don't want to do that. But when they're choosing keywords, should you be looking up other people that you want to be like and model them so that you know what keywords people are looking for?
Yeah. Look at your competitors or your colleagues and see what keywords they're targeting.
Okay, so let me give you a 3-part formula that we teach for our Master Virtual Presenters, right? Number 1, modeling. So model someone that you want to be like. In other words, if they gave you their business, who would you want that person to be? Okay? For me, it would be someone like Seth Godin, in the marketing world, Guy Kawasaki in the publishing world, and Malcolm Gladwell in the authorship or book publishing world. So those 3 people are social influencers. I want what they want. I don't have what they want. They have more social influence and exposure than me. So I want to model them, and I would look to see what they're saying, so that I have a sense of getting to them faster. So would that be a good strategy, Ted? Modeling?
Oh, definitely. It's the easiest way to get there.
Okay, and then as it relates to modeling, the next step, that's being. Who do you want to be? Next step is doing. So that's marketing, and you only need to know 3 things: your market, your message, and the media sources. And here we're talking about new media in the form of LinkedIn. And then the final thing is monetizing. That's making money, but that's having. But we want to go not from having, doing, being. That's how most people do. Once I have the money, I'll buy the media, then I can be the person I want to be. That doesn't work. It's being, doing, having, or the be, do, have mindset, which is probably 2,500 years old. So that's a little tip on how you can proceed with the 3 M's: modeling, marketing, and monetizing. Let's talk about mistakes. Why mistakes can be great. For me, mistakes are great because the more I make, the smarter I get. I say that often on stage, but I like learning from other people's mistakes. I think fools learn from their own, because you keep learning again and again, and if you make the same mistake, great, and you learn. But if you learn from other people's mistakes, you can accelerate your growth. And When I hire a consultant, I start with what are the biggest mistakes I should avoid. That way I'm not doubling up. Why are mistakes important to you, Ted, in general?
Well, we're all going to make mistakes, of course, so you want to just learn from them and move on. Obviously, we've all made huge faux pas in our life.
So let's talk about mistakes. 5 social network hazards. That's a mistake, right? When you're found on LinkedIn. So get this. You're found on LinkedIn, right? And now there's some hazards there because you're looking worse now that you're found. So what are some of the hazards? Hazard number 1.
You talked about this when we were having coffee a couple weeks ago, and it really resonated with me. LinkedIn is like a library, and Facebook's like a playground. So you need to act accordingly. When you're on Facebook, you can have fun and joke with people and post, your vacation pictures. When you're on LinkedIn, you need to be professional, and people are very kind of overstuffy. Actually, it's kind of trying to get people to interact on LinkedIn is difficult. Well, but in fact, my LinkedIn classes, I have a Facebook group instead of a LinkedIn group because nobody interacts on LinkedIn.
Well, and that's a good point. We have a Master Virtual Presenter Facebook group, and my sense is on LinkedIn, they're not going to engage with us in LinkedIn. They'll read stuff. They'll do one-to-one, but they won't go many-to-many. We send them to Facebook for that because it's a big party. So maybe we can change that with broadcasting like we're doing most recently, and that at least one-to-many engagement will get some comments and things. So that's the first hazard, right? What's number 2?
The second one is people come to LinkedIn to build relationships and network. We've all gone to conferences or networking events where people introduce themselves and start selling to you right away. You got to build that relationship first. So focus on building relationships with people on LinkedIn. Don't sell.
One of my mentors in the world of business is Ivan Meisner. He started Business Network International. He sold the business, and he's a good friend of mine. He's a mentor of mine. We're masterminds together. You'll be at one of them. And what he taught me is VCP: visibility, credibility, profitability. You can't go from IVCP, which is invisibility, to profitability, because then there's another I before invisible, and that's called irritability. So you don't want to be irritating. You get visible, start interacting. You want a date. You don't want that one-night stand. It's exciting, but it doesn't work, not for long term. And then credibility, you build credibility like I'm hoping we're doing in this recording, and then profitability. So how long does it take, Ted, with your strategy sessions or your funnel, your marketing funnel, to get a client, typically?
Funny you should ask that. Somebody asked me that the other day, and I got 7 new clients last week by just engaging with new connections and sending them 2 messages, and we had a phone conversation.
Okay, and how fast of time frame was that? Now, I heard that you used a very effective template to enroll them, but besides that, maybe you can talk about that just a little bit. Oh, wait a minute. Who's that guy? Who's the guy that I see up there?
Yeah, who's that guy?
There we go. This is self-promotion. No, but bottom line is you got them within a week, yes?
Oh, within 24 hours.
Okay. So literally. Tell us the process. Tell us the funnel process, because it's not a hazard. That's definitely a way to go.
So, yeah, I just search for people. LinkedIn's a search engine, so I search for job titles or company sizes. I have my ideal client profile that I search for and job titles. And then I find people. I invite them to connect. And then once we connect, I have this welcome message I send them. And I engage them there, and I send them to my website where I pixel them like you taught me to do. And now I have a Facebook audience, a Google audience. I can retarget them. But most of the time, a phone conversation happens within 24 to 48 hours.
So a pixel is kind of like the atom to an organism. It's kind of like just one dot in the whole matrix of a picture on a website, and that little pixel can do retargeting, which is a word that comes up a lot these days. On Facebook, your ads will show up. You have to purchase them, but they will show up wherever they go after they've been pixeled. Is that accurate?
Correct.
Okay, and you can do that on Google as well, correct?
Correct. I didn't even have to get to that stage, though. Within 24 hours, we filled up my calendar.
Your results may vary if you are listening or watching or reading. Now, the next question is, what's the next hazard to avoid?
The next hazard is I used to teach this years ago when I taught social media. You create a tweet or something, and you'd blast it to Google, you'd blast it to Facebook, the same message everywhere. LinkedIn, people respond differently. So don't send the same message to people on Facebook or Twitter as you do on LinkedIn. Modify it for the business audience.
Okay, so how would you modify it? So you don't say, "Hey, dude." You go, what's the difference in the vernacular that you would use?
Yeah, because I know most of the people on LinkedIn that are reading my content are usually in sales or they're financial advisors, people that are selling high-end services or products. So I structure it so how to get more leads, how to get more appointments, how to get more fill your calendar in 24 hours, those kind of things. So that piques their interest.
Okay, so is there another hazard you want to share?
Sure. Let's see here. We've got, interact like people, like we go to coffee. Pretend the person's sitting across from you. This is people just talking. I don't know what to do on LinkedIn. I don't know how to engage people. I said, you're engaging with me right now. Pretend we're friends and we're just having a conversation. Don't try to sell them. Don't pretend you're someone else. Be yourself and just engage like it's a friend.
Great. Great hazards to avoid and super simple. And those are kind of like the 20% of the hazards that eliminate 80% of the problem. So please go back and review those. What does tested really mean? That's our next set of tips here. Tested to me means, it's a name that's thrown around a lot. It's a word that's thrown around. Tested, time tested. That to me means I've been embarrassed as the thought leader, so you don't have to be as the follower. That means I've lost money as the marketer, so you don't have to lose money as the student. That means I've looked bad in public as a speaker trainer, so that you don't have to once you do the same thing that I'm doing. That's what tested means. So these are 3 tested tactics, and a tactic I mentioned earlier, that may change, so make sure that you utilize these tactics quickly, and it's to get more these are pre-qualified leads. Pre-qualification prevents rejection. That's how you protect your confidence, is pre-qualifying. It's better to spend 80% of your time pre-qualifying and sell 20% of the time versus selling 80% of the time, which most people do, and pre-qualify only 20%. They jump to the solution way too fast, most salespeople. So LinkedIn is the world's best social media platform of all time, whether you use it or not, to pre-qualify because there's so much information. So give me 3 tested tactics, Ted.
The first is you have to be consistent. I spend 15 to 20 minutes every morning. I just log in, I'll add some connections, I'll reply to some emails, I'll share content. If somebody else posted content, I'll like it and comment and share it. So just focus on being consistent 15 to 20 minutes a day, and your profile views will skyrocket.
Okay, and what else?
Okay, the next thing is always send a welcome message after you connect. I used to teach when you invite people, send a custom message, but LinkedIn has removed that ability when you do connections on mobile devices. And about 60% of the people are using mobile devices on LinkedIn now. So I just connect with people and then send them this unassuming welcome message. It says, if you want to meet anybody in my network, let me know. I'll introduce you. If you need any help, here's my phone number. Here's my email address.
Okay,
and about 35% of the people reply to that and say thank you.
So 1 out of 3 basically say yes. What's tactic number 3?
Number 3 is you can actually categorize your LinkedIn connections after you connect with them and send them messages. Periodically it says, hey, we haven't talked in 3 months. How are things going? So it's really effective. It gets you back on their radar.
Okay, let's do a quick summary. This is a review rampage. Exposure. That's what an author, a speaker, a trainer wants. It doesn't matter what business you're in. I don't care if you're a dentist, chiropractor, CPA, attorney, whatever you do. You need more exposure because exposure always precedes a pre-qualified lead, and pre-qualified leads always precedes a lead or a prospect, and a prospect always precedes a sale or a buyer, and a buyer always precedes multi-buying, which will create a legacy and wealth for you. Next, we talked about principles versus tactics. Principles are immutable, they last longer. Tactics can be temporary, so go after the principles, which is what we're after. New media. LinkedIn is a part of new media. CBS, NBC, that's traditional media, and new media is here to stay. It's more sustainable, it's easier access, it's more targeted. less costly, of course, and you can get to the thought leaders a lot easier. Massive exposure on LinkedIn. Let LinkedIn do all the work. It's a search engine within a search engine. And these are business to business people. So if you're selling business to consumer, you may find distributors there and intermediaries. But remember, this is a business venue. It is not a party like Facebook or ADD on Twitter. No offense, guys, but Twitter's much too fast for me. And why LinkedIn profiles are so important? Well, go back and watch the video or read the piece that we covered already, or listen to the audio, depending on how you're consuming this. It may be video, audio, or written word. Visual word, spoken word, or written word. I have no idea how you're consuming this right now. You know what it is, and go back and review. We talked about the 4 tips that supercharge your LinkedIn profiles and why profiles are so important, why mistakes can be great and how to avoid them, learning from other people's mistakes. If you're in a mastermind, rather than asking masterminders in the room or in the virtual room, what is your best strategy this year, ask them what are the 3 costly mistakes you made all year. And you will learn what their strategies are by default. So focus on what they've moved away from. That will save you a lot more money. That's a big takeaway if you are paying attention and committed to this content. 5 social network hazards when you're found on LinkedIn. We covered all of them. And what does tested means? It means I went through suffering so you don't have to, right? And so the 3 tested tactics to get more pre-qualified leads, we just covered that. Go back and review. It's not learning that makes a difference, because there is a learning and doing gap. It's relearning. And so sloppy success is better than perfect mediocrity, which means getting started is a lot more important. So Ted, let me go back to you. Do you have any final words on what is the first step to take on LinkedIn? Is it the profile? Is it the picture? Is it the summary of the profile? What is it?
Well, obviously your profile is the first thing they see of you, so you really have to focus there. But take LinkedIn out of the picture first. How did we do business before internet? We actually met people, built relationships, and started doing business. So start there. Learn how to meet people and network with people and focus on helping them. Then plug in the technology and it supercharges it.
You got it. So you do the fundamentals, putting the fun back into fundamentals. And my name is Alex Mondosian. And on behalf of Ted Prodromo and his team, this has been about pre-qualified lead generation on LinkedIn. I hope our paths cross again soon. Look us up on LinkedIn and look us up online. All good wishes.